Cool. So first things first, let me just make it abundantly clear that I am disheveled in appearance and in mind tonight. And I hope that's not a problem. And I do remember Marcy Playground. I was probably one of the few people here who came of age in the 90s, right? Marcy Playground, yeah. That was good stuff. So I remember Sex and Candy. I remember when that came out. So let me just, since my memory's fried right now, wrote down a few notes. First things first, is anyone here familiar with Central European Slavic phonetics?
No.
That's a resounding no?
No, yeah. No.
Okay. The reason I ask is because I'm starting to wear a name tag now. So this name is actually pronounced Alexi. The J, it's like an I, and only check. Okay. My goal tonight is to sufficiently bore you and then inspire you. So I hope you're okay with being bored and then inspired.
Sounds like my English lecture.
What's that?
So it sounds like any lecture that I've ever gone to at college.
Yeah, I love that. What did you study in college? What are you studying in college?
Political science right now, but that's not going to happen. So.
Political science. Okay. Well, how about I read a doctoral dissertation abstract, and then I do touch upon something to be thankful for. How about that? Sound good? And if these lovely folks here at the roast, we do decide to do another one of these, next time I'd be more than happy to discuss the Rastafari and try to solve a Rubik's Cube in front of you. I think that'd be a lot of fun, don't you? I think that'd be fun. Okay. All right. Well, okay. Anyway, let's get down to it. So this was written, it's actually in a poetry book, right? So, but it's a doctoral dissertation abstract. I'm going to try to use a Ben Stein voice. It was written for Dr. Brian L. Zirkle, University of Kansas, Johnson County Community College. It is a mathematical physics, so it's applied mathematics. So I hope that bores you sufficiently, completely sufficiently. See if I can swing this. And I apologize for being dyspeptic. Real quick. See, since nobody can spell my name or pronounce it, I just left cards on that table in case you're all intrigued. I didn't pay for them. They're paid through by a publisher, so take one. Okay. This is my lecture for tonight. It's an abstract, so here we go. Let V denote interactions in volume corresponding to its Y modifier, and let X denote an unknown constant multiplied against a hydrogen expansion term. That is, a generic known and unknown regions of said Einstein spacetime. If U is a quantity of X, then by observations of the units therein contained at both density, fission, and vapor, we mean we can achieve a simple resolution involving the Y modifier, and both V and V having no limit to their respective endpoints beyond Y, such that V equals V plus Y half, though V is contained in V with Y as its functional limitation and meaningful measurement. Let X be a quantity describing hydrogen into any and all galaxies. By a determinate modifier for V, we mean a function Y defined by the abstraction of an uncountable set. X such that for each source of energy there exists a finite number of outcomes, and we let V be determined ways of procedure, such that we know the abstraction of infinity as it pertains to physical problems, and not simply numerical coordinates or devices. This uncountable set is the framework which this work both defines and critiques. In other words, it is a facsimile of an uncountable set that permits U, Vx, such that there exists a measurement in V which contains a foreseeable limit. This work is in part based on the numerical work of George Cantor and the mathematical philosophical approach of intuitionism, the works of Leibniz, Newton, and Descartes, and resolves itself in parity in this compendium. In the first part of this dissertation, we give a more direct derivation for this result than based on the work of Cantor to provide derivation. And we proved conversely in part 2 of this dissertation that both v and x are measured by y in all three-dimensional space with unpredictable but methodical measurements and determinate and finite outcomes. In x, then there exists a multiplicative function with a hydrogen quantity denoted by h. Next, in part 3, we proved that for the TOE equation of Vy equals xy, there's a continuous function inside the observable limitations of the combined units contained in the equality. Conversely, we show that if voltage is still a quantity to be rightly included as a fundamental force of nature, even though indicated as a problem such as this, a modifier plus y, does no harm to any unit analytic approaches, and the propositional y modifier holds for the combined units on both sides of the equality to make it match. These papers conclude with a list of 5 axioms, 2 named postulates, and remaining problems in the unified field theory and TOE which still need attention. Class, I hope I have sufficiently bored you. Can I get a round of applause if you're sufficiently bored? Come on!
Yeah.
Did I bore you?
Yes!
Did I bore you, Kansas City? Okay.
The heck out of us. Thank you.
Okay, so now, let me see, I got it written down here real quick. Okay. So, real quick, I wanted to touch upon this topic of Thanksgiving. And I'll give a brief history rundown without the history, as paradoxical as that might sound. So, I have in my hands a book called Open Letters by the Czech playwright Václav Havel. I happen to be Czechoslovakian. If anybody's from Liberec, say hi to my family for me. So, Václav Havel, in case you weren't aware, was at the fore of one of the most peaceful democratic revolutions against authoritarian communism in contemporary Western culture. My point in referencing this is that I feel like you have to be a historian to understand world events. I don't feel like it's enough to watch the news, to read papers, all the rest. And I don't really like the news, I don't really watch the news, I don't really pay attention to things, but in the spirit of Thanksgiving, this man was known for his eloquence, so I'm going to quote him because, if somebody said it better than you, as they say in American history, like quote them, right? Quote them. But in Thanksgiving, it's important to keep things in perspective, and that, for all of the craziness and all the stuff that goes on in this world, if failing the fact that you're not, say, a doctoral level historian or in a think tank or something, there is perspective to be found, and we can often find it through our writers and through our musicians and through our artists. Václav Havel was such an artist. The musicians you've seen here tonight had their own voice. You can find it in coffee shops. You can find it in culture. You can find it in academia. You can find it all over the place. You can find it in religion. You can find it in a lot of tremendous places. But the power of all of these things is not to be underestimated. And for that I am thankful. So here's something to say amid all of that. And this is from Václav Havel's Thriller. I am unwilling to believe that this whole civilization is no more than a blind alley of history and a fatal error of the human spirit. More probably, it represents a necessary phase that man and humanity must go through. One that man, if he survives, will ultimately, and on some higher level, unthinkable of course without the present phase, transcend. To me, I think beyond that word transcend, there's really not much else to say except do please acknowledge what you're thankful for. And remember that the veil of glory for all its blindingness is woven of light. Peace, love, empathy. Thank you. I hope you're no longer bored. Thank you. See ya. Thanks.